guys, it's Sandra from the Champion Canine. So this is part 2 of the prong collar video series. If you haven't watched the part 1 video, please do so. That video goes over how to size your dog for a Hermspringer prong collar and how to introduce your dog to the collar. You want to make sure you do both of those things before you actually start using the prong collar. So in this video, we'll go over how to walk your dog on the prong collar, and please excuse the wind in this video. I hope it's not too noisy. It's a very windy day. We have little Mikey here who's on a 2.25 Hermspringer prong collar. So Mikey has been trained to do an automatic sit every time we come to a stop. I do think it's a good idea to teach your dog to do an automatic sit whenever you stop, but I don't think it's a make it or break it as far as the walk goes. So I want you to look at how I'm holding the leash. I have the leash in one hand. I kind of just have it flipped over a few times, nice and loose as far as it not being wrapped around my hand. I'm just holding it and then just closing my fingers. I like to put my thumb on the top of the part of the leash that's actually connected to the collar, just so when I do correct, it's very easy to do so. You can see how the leash is pretty loose. There's not a lot of tension on the leash, so you can see how that buckle moves when I do put some tension on the leash. But it's tight enough to where if he were to get ahead of me or pull towards one side or the other, I can easily correct him and I don't have to rail in the leash before I'm able to correct him. So this is a good length. I always like to tell people when you see the buckle fall like that, but the leash part is actually straight, that's a good length. So when you're walking with your dog, you want your dog's shoulder to be right kind of where your hip is. So you can see that's my hip. He's walking a little behind me. I'd rather have a dog walk behind me than in front of me. If he were to walk too quickly or too far ahead in front of me, instead of letting him put pressure on the prong collar, we're going to pop. So you can see that pop. The level of correction is based on how distracted your dog is. So if there was a squirrel 10 feet in front of me, my correction would be a lot more firm. What you want to look for is that when you go and pop your dog, correct your dog, is that your dog responds, so that they go back into the heel position, ears go down, signs that your dog is paying attention. You really want to only have to correct once or twice on a high level rather than kind of nag them several times by under correcting. So this is a really good pace. I don't like to walk too fast. I don't like to walk too slow. If your dog really does struggle with paying attention to you, I'd rather you walk slower than faster. A good exercise to do is to slow your pace. So pop, because he was walking too far ahead of me. So slow your pace down and then speed up. And that really challenges your dog to pay attention to you. So slow down. You see that time he automatically slowed down with me. I'm going to speed up. Good. I don't let my dogs, or any dogs I work with, wander or stray towards the grass or towards other dogs or bushes, etc., etc. You never want to let dogs meet face to face on leash. And I always give my dogs a minute or two of potty time before I start the walk, and I might give them another minute or two of potty time during the walk, but I never let them pull me towards the grass or a tree while we're walking. When you're walking, you want this to be 99% of what you do. So I'm going to come to a stop. Good. If your dog does not automatically sit, or you want to work on the automatic sit, when you come to a stop, Make sure you pop your dog if your dog doesn't stop with you. And then you're going to put direct pressure on the prong collar, so direct upward pressure until your dog sits. Once your dog sits, you release that pressure. Let's go. Another thing to keep in mind, and I wrote about this in the most recent blog post, is if you've got a dog that is leash reactive, so a dog that likes to lunge, growl, bark at other dogs, you want to make sure you give your dog plenty of space on the walk. So for some dogs that might mean the other side of the street, that might mean 30 feet away. You want to always make sure you give your dog enough space to where they don't feel super uncomfortable, but you want to really demand of them that they stay in a heel position. So you want to be very particular about your dog staying in a heel. So once again, proper position is your dog's shoulder kind of right by your hip. And if your dog's doing a ton of looking around or a ton of kind of intense staring, you want to really micromanage that. So you're constantly having a conversation through the leash using the prong collar with your dog. So for some dogs, that might mean constant little pops or a larger correction, whatever kind of catches your dog's attention. It's kind of like, hey, pay attention to me. I have something to tell you. Kind of what we want to happen. Good. Let's go. All right, guys. So here I have Miss Roxy, and I just wanted to show you the walk. Again, with a different dog, and her automatic are not as great as Mikey's. So hopefully I'll be able to show you a little better how to teach your dog the automatic sit. Let's go. So once again, pay attention to the length that I have the leash. So it's pretty tight. There's not a ton of looseness, but it's loose enough to where there's no tension being put on the collar when she's just walking in a good heel position. So I'm going to say sit, put pressure, good. Let's go. So if she starts to stray, I'm going to pop on the leash. So sit, pressure. Sit. Good. Let's go. So pop, right? I don't want dogs pulling towards the grass, doing a whole bunch of sniffing. Let's turn around. So pop. Because the whole point of the walk is that they are paying 100% attention to you. Sit. Good. Let's go. All right. I hope that video helped you a little bit in understanding what the walk should look like. I just wanted to say that, as always, some dogs are more difficult to work with and teach than others, and if you're ever uncomfortable or need some help, definitely consult a canine professional. And I just wanted to go over a few other things about having a calm dog on the walk. So having a calm dog on the walk really starts at your house. It really starts with making sure your dog is calm before you even put the leash around its, or attach the leash to its collar. You want to make sure that your energy is also calm. Calm before, during, and after the walk. So I know a lot of dogs are conditioned and get excited when they hear the leash or the jingle of the collar because they know they're getting ready to go on a walk. If you've got a dog like that, make sure you start conditioning your dog to not be so excited when they hear the leash being picked up. So that could mean a couple of things. That means you've taught your dog place. We've got a good video for that. Put your dog in place as you're getting ready and use it as a reinforcer for your dog staying in place. If you don't do that, you can condition your dog to not expect to always go on a walk when they hear the leash. So, you know, just casually pick up the leash, put it in another part of the house, you know. Teach your dog that just because you're picking up the leash doesn't mean that they are going on a walk. You always want to put the leash on your dog when your dog is calm. So always make sure that your dog's energy is pretty low when you are putting the leash on your dog, and if your dog's energy is not low, just wait it out. Just wait for your dog to be calm. So breathe, don't talk to your dog, just wait. Another good thing to do is thresholds. So your dog should not be racing through the front door, should not be just automatically gunning it to the car and jumping right in. You want to make sure everything is calm. We've got a video on thresholds. Make sure you watch that so you know what those look like. Another couple of things if you have a dog that is leash reactive, so a dog that is barking, growling, lunging at other dogs, you want to be super particular about the heel position. So in the video I was telling you that your dog's neck or shoulders should be in line with your hips. If you've got a dog that is very reactive, I would like your dog's head to be behind your body. So I'd much rather have a dog that's further behind you than a dog that is out in front and pretty alert about what's going on. Two other things is I never let dogs meet face to face on leash, just because that can cause a lot of anxiety and that can cause that leash reaction that you might be seeing. I also never let people come up to dogs on leash and just pet them or even talk to them, especially if you've got a super nervous, anxious dog. Having a stranger come up can reinforce their nervousness and really make things a lot worse. So rule of thumb, never let dogs or people come up to your dogs when you are walking them on leash. As usual, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email, and thank you so much for watching.